Yes, everybody, do not adjust your sets. Russie B is here and he's live and it's Sunday. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And obviously, it's a time which can jump a lot of memories for people as well. So hope you're having as best a day as possible as you can as well. So I thought I'd come on and do a sort of have a little chat, talk about what you want to talk about, check in to make sure everyone's all right, give you a bit of look at this fucking state of me. I would say I've had a good Father's Day, but literally all I've been doing is clearing up, it seems. There's a fucking fly in here as well. Mrs. Budden and the Princess are currently bopping along to, I think, JLS in Wembley Stadium for the summertime ball. I bought the tickets, not really, it was Father's Day, or maybe I did. Let's see, we've got the chat. We've got this fucking fly, Jesus. Mark, good morning, good evening to you. So used to doing an afternoon show. Could West Ham beat Auckland City? Anyone who's been watching the Club World Cup? Yeah, it's a bit of an unusual match, Bayern Munich versus Auckland City, but hey ho. I did score 10 goals past them with a hat trick. 17-minute hat trick for Musiala. Two for Thomas Muller, 2 for Kingsley Coman, 2 for Michael Owisi, 1 for Bowie. Jonathan Tah, I think that's his debut for Bayern Munich, following from previously of Bayer Leverkusen. He got a little nod for an assist after 6 minutes. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. It was a bit strange. But there we go. Could we beat him? I would hope so. But depends if we have enough players to put aside it. That's the thing. All right, Randy, hope you're well. Nice to see you. I do think the club needs to start making signings soon. Very clever. Very good, Randy. And actually, the transfer window opens tomorrow again. The second transfer window opens tomorrow. So there'll be a gluttony of new signings, I would imagine, rolling through the door. We won't be able to keep up. And obviously then that is then open all the way until the 31st of October, rather. So now's the schlep. That first bit was like an amuse-bouche. Those first sort of, 10 days or so, like little amuse-bouche of what's going to come. We're already being linked to over 120 players already. I've had to already reduce it and get them all in. So that's going to be fun. Howard, good afternoon to you. Sorry, Harry, Howard. Hope you're well, mate. Steve's in the chat. Nice to see you, Steve. Evening, Stuart. Stuart on YouTube, not on Twitter for a change. From Link, in some transfer, we need to go and buy goalkeeper, right back, left back, box to box, 2 midfielders. Basically, a whole squad, a whole starting 11. I think you're probably right. Goalkeeper, yes. And I think the goalkeeper we'll get to once we've brought in the new goalkeeper coach, because he'll have a big part to play. Right back, possibly even 2, or someone like a Kyle Walker-Peters who can cover both. Because we may well have a situation, probably January. When's the Africa Cup of Nations? Because technically, isn't Aaron now with Congo now, isn't he? So they're in there. So anyway, it's probably worth, hopefully, I'm sure they will be well aware of the fact that he could be going and fucking off in January for a month. But be interested to see what happens there. But I totally agree. And I mean, box to box, yes. I mean, we'll have the Rusty rumour rating, the original rumour rating. We'll have that tomorrow. And there's a few new players on there. There's a few existing players in terms of new rumours. We'll talk about DCL as well. But clearly there's at least, we've got rid of 5 players already, haven't we, really, in terms of the 4 and Zuma as well. That's 5 already. So you would assume, and as we know, assumption makes an ass of you and me, that at least 5 were needed to sort of cover them. Yes, we've got the likes of Freddie Potts back. and people like that. But still, you need at least 5, I'd say, at least through the door. How many do you want at the door? Let me know. Power play. Hope you're well, Kev from Kingston here. Enjoy it. Thank you very, very much, mate. How many relinks? We've 120. I've just done it for already for tomorrow. Let me have a look at the list. We are at 120. I think it's 122. I think. Let me just check. Where's that gone? 122. Yeah. Can't see us signing anyone. Can only see Calvert-Lewin coming in a free. Signed Lucas and Micha. No idea. I never would have heard of him. It's okay to be really concerned that Sully will get Calvert-Lewin. Try to gaslight, thinking it's a world-class signing, mate. Don't think it's world-class signing. I think when he's fit, he's good, but then there's that big caveat: fit. And do we really want another striker who's in and out of the squad because of fitness? We've already got Nicholas, So, I remember last year we were looking at him, weren't we? And we were going to buy him because he was in the last year of his contract. So, I think we will get a couple of free signings. I think we have to really, because whatever budget we have after we sell a few or whatever I still think we've got a little bit in the kitty anyway. But whatever we do have, that's not going to go as far. It's not going to go far in terms of what we need. So I believe someone like Kyle Walker-Peters will come in and I think, to be honest, he's an ideal signing for us because he can cover left back and right back. So if either or gets injured or Africa Cup of Nations, he can come in and play right side while Aaron's out, and then vice versa. So I think there's so much going on, mate, that we just don't know. Sullivan doesn't like to spend money. Can't see him put his hand in his pockets like we're preparing to go down. But what I don't understand, Jay, is I understand that now. I understand the point. But if we went down, he would lose a shit ton of money on the club. There's no benefit to him in going down. We need Premier League football to maintain that level of money in the bank for him, basically. So I don't agree with the fact that they're preparing us to go down, or if we know if there's any hint of us going down or any possibility of us going down, the manager will be chopped in. We know that will happen. As I said, so I think I don't see the narrative why he would not invest and prepare us to go down, though. I totally understand it. Doesn't like to spend money. Rich people don't like to spend money, mate. That's why they're rich, to be honest. That's why I'm not rich. So I like to spend money. But I agree. I don't agree with. Looks like we're preparing to go down because I don't. That if you look at how West Ham's money comes out, the majority of our money is by being in the Premier League. Is by TV rights. Is by what they can charge for ticket prices and stuff like that. So we're probably one of a few clubs who really depend on being fucking in the Premier League, to be honest. George, hope you're well. Another striker who's going to play half a dozen games. Exactly. I just can't see it happening. If Leeds sign Bijou at centre-back, also, I'll be gutted. I don't know. Stay safe. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but that apparently I've been parodied in that, so I'm going to go and watch it. But yeah, I'll take it. It's all good fun. Better than saying I'm a fat bastard, isn't it? So I like to be safe. Fair enough. Worst food, won't they? Lawrence, good afternoon to you all the way from Lexington, Kentucky, with the 11 herbs and spices. Love it when Russ calls us mofos. You're a mofo. Everyone's talking to each other. It's lovely. I love this community. What was I going to say? We've got this week. We've got a new draw. We've got Mark Noble signed shirt, which we're going to be putting out to the raffle. And also probably Thursday, we've got a new live show. Exciting new live show with 2 new characters unlocked that you have not met on screen. How exciting. I'm very excited to it. So hosted by me with 2 new characters unlocked. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. Walker Peters, that's it, third time's the charm, would be an ideal signing, especially when you consider the situation we're in. Egan Riley would have been perfect as free signings too. True, it would have been. I think I was reading some commentary and watching people talk about it, and they're saying, "Oh, he rejected us." And da-da. I'm not being funny, mate. Marseille, the weather's fucking nice. He's got a few English boys there as well, likes of Angel Gomez is there. They're 99% always going to be in Europe as well, and he's going to get a decent wage. Would you rather go Stratford or Marseille? I'm not being funny. You know what I mean? I ain't being funny. Just saying. Just saying. Don't worry, Russ. Others got it worse than you. Oh, fair enough. I watched one of them. It was quite funny. One with Nicky. And then I saw him the day after and he was like, we had a giggle. But yeah, fair enough, innit? And they do this type of thing. You're going to get ribbed, innit? Any players on a free that you'd like to see at the club? Carl Walker Peters. I just think that makes so much sense in terms of what we need. Jonathan Davids, he hasn't still gone anywhere either yet. So I think I'd love to see it. I just can't see it happening. I mean, there's some good players out there, and there's some okay players. You got Jason. Is it Denardier, who was at Lyon? I think it was him. Tyreek Mitchell's still there technically. Lionel Messi is available on a free transfer. Never heard of him. Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, they're on a free transfer apparently. I would have minded. I quite like Junior Firpo rather, from Leeds, formerly of what's name. I'm just looking down the list. There's if you want anyone over the age of 30, you're good. You know, you've got likes of Alexander Lacazette. Do you remember me? Nicholas Tagliafico, Danny Ings. Oh, he might be good. Sergio Reggio. We're gonna. There's no doubt we're gonna get a couple of them in. We just will do. Waldorf and Sadler. I don't understand that. 4:05 in the morning, watching the golf, mates. I thought I'd catch you live. Thank you very much. What time is it? I'm not going to be on for long. I just come on to just do everyone. Obviously, I'm going to get off. I didn't realize the what's name was started. The old Grand Prix. So I'm going to be about half an hour. So then I'm going to go watch the Grand Prix. Give some of the under 21s or anything for the academy a chance. I think we will do, Stuart. I think we will. I think they will get a pre-season chance, and then based on what we bring in, then they'll go out on loan. I think we know Freddie Potts. We know George and Lewis are both being given opportunities. We know Ollie's very much. He's a first team player. I still think that Lewis will go out on loan towards the end of the transfer window. George, based on what happens, obviously Norwich is an option because Liam Manning's gone to Norwich now, and we've been linked to a lot of Norwich players as well, which we'll talk about tomorrow. One I like, one I don't like. And then the rest, I think Kalen will go out on loan. I think the goalkeepers will go out on loan. So there'll definitely be a few, but I don't think there'll be as many as people think. It's actually a bit of a shithole, yeah, but not when you're in the posh bits. It was funny still. What should have mentioned Masuaku though. Stratford is better than Marseille. Well, Hammers Football TV, nice to see you. Russ, would you agree that everyone at the club must get this right? As for once, we need something to grasp on, as to keep mentioning no excuses for everyone involved in the club. I agree. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I do, Randy. But the trouble is, I think we've been saying this for the last 3-4 transfer windows. This is definitely the summer. This is a critical transfer window for the club. This one is as well, and actually last year was, with the whole Lopetegui, Moyes leaving and Lopetegui. I still think there was always a bit of an overhang, and I'm not comparing Moyes. I'm not comparing Moyes to the likes of Arsene Wenger, Alex Ferguson, but it usually takes a couple of sort of appointments before those shackles are off. And you got to think Arsenal. That Emery came in and failed, and then Arteta came in. Alex Ferguson left, Sir Alex and Moisey came in, and they had a whole procession. They still haven't really got going. Maybe under Amorim potentially, but yeah, I still think there's plenty on. Let's go down here. Junior Furball, yeah, very good. Everyone's talking to each other. Stay tuned. Russ is doing a chat quiz tonight and huge prizes. I'm not doing a quiz tonight. Sorry. I just wanted to come and see everyone was. We'd also take Thomas Party, but he couldn't come to us. You forgot Pie on a free. He is the 38-year-old. He is currently. DC rooms are refurbished. It has. We'll talk about that later on. Yes, you've got Marko Arnautovic. Indeed, he is currently on a free as well. Yeah. It's a strange one, isn't it? The whole, I just think, Bonner as well. It really is a bizarre thing, sort of when you have a relative success and then the next manager never seems to just get going. Russ, depending on the success or failure, do you have an expectation West Ham and Potter that have been met in terms of style, points, Europe performance? Not yet, really. Not yet, really. I mean, to be honest, we haven't really seen anything consistent. We've seen fits and starts, but nothing to pin our flag, but our colours too in going into the new season. Apart from the fact that it's not his team, but that sort of goodwill will only last a few games. Some people pressed the panic button already. Fair enough, that's their prerogative. I haven't yet. In terms of playing youth, I mean, he has. I think he had a luxury of not really being in much sort of relegation trouble. So he came in, and the first things he did was, played Ollie Scars, and pretty much everyone was like, "Brilliant! This is what it was." It's an easy win to play the kids, to play the academy within sort of the West Ham fraternity. Because that's what West Ham fans want. They want to see academy boys come through. The truth is also we want us to be successful as well. So there is a balancing act needed. I mean, we'll have. I mean, you've gone. Under Lopetegui, I don't think we had anyone really, did we? Didn't really bring anyone through as such. He's given the likes of Orford minutes. He's given them all minutes. And I think it'll be interesting to see. And by what X says, we're going to be giving them chances in pre-season. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, as of January, it pretty much as soon as we got knocked out by Aston Villa, that was our season done, really. And then it was a bit meh, wasn't it? It was like treading water. It was like treading water. And you would have hoped that stuff was happening in the background to ensure that we hit the ground running. I didn't really expect us to sign anyone from the first day in the transfer. I expect to see some signings towards the end of this month, because obviously there's no players don't be turned back till pre-seasons into early July. So as long as we've got some signings in by then they have time, particularly critical signings, not necessarily squad signings, but signings of maybe new goalkeeper, maybe new striker, maybe, so we've got these guys who can start working their way into the side, so they don't have to get to a situation where we go in and we're playing catch up. So there we go. Why don't West Ham go after Hwang Hee-chan? I wanted him when he was in Germany, but didn't happen. What box midfield players, Russ, could you see come in? Box to box. We've been linked to lots of players in and around. I think Rafael Noriega, not necessarily a box to box as such, but strong. I like the look of Amir Richardson from Fiorentina. Obviously, I didn't really know much about him, but then sort of doing a bit of a deep dive, watching the Babbling Irons, because they're very good in terms of their sort of player analysis. Seems a really good deal, but again, it's like, how does it all fit in? Where does it fit into the master plan? And with someone like Freddie Potts coming back, I said Freddie Cox. Who's Freddie Cox? Freddie Potts back. How does that work? I imagine he'll be in the CDM role, so he needs someone with energy. Can Onyeda do that going forward stuff? Possibly. There's so much that's up in the air, really, isn't it? We don't really know anything really what's going on. Sign 6 young players and pray. Don't need money if they are extreme punts. I think we will have a couple of punts, definitely. There's a guy who's Stade Graham we'll talk about tomorrow, a striker, who I think is going to be a bit of a punt. Earthy could be a gem this year. He could be indeed. But again, for me, I don't necessarily want players who are going to be, particularly academy players, who are going to get in 5-10 minutes there. I'd rather them develop and come into the side when they're ready to. If he's ready to fight for a first team place, in terms of the managers wants him in the first team world, then let's get him in. Like Freddie's like ready. Freddie's ready for that fight. And so I know that personally. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Freddie works within that. And we know, I'm not being funny, the cupboard put him on a long-term deal. Yes, that could protect his value, but still, they don't have to put him on a 5-year deal. So we'll have to wait and see. No pressing the panic button yet. Mr. Manning don't let us get in this situation is really poor. It just seems continued, Trudge, doesn't it? The last sort of 3 summers we've had we could have like a 15-man swing plays in and out this year, easy, without even really blinking. And last year was 20. That's never going to help. Yep. Amadou Kante, our 17-year-old fucking giant. He'll be back. He'll be reporting to pre-season, having had an okay season with Paris FC. The league side got promoted to Liga, so whether he then sort of starts in the 21s and then comes in, comes out, I don't know. But he's a fucking giant, that boy. The transfer isn't open, even though it's back open tomorrow. It closed for that pool, didn't it? It's back open tomorrow. We shall see. Evening, Callum. PSR, in theory, sell Emerson. Could we sign a £30 million player on a 3-year deal? Well, the more interesting about PSR, it's on a year, is you don't, and that's what I think people. That's what I don't understand about that is if exactly that point. If we bought a player for 30 million on a 3-year deal and those payment terms are split between 10, 10, 10, then if we were zero, so anything above then. So if we were on zero and we sold Emerson for £10 million, we could then sign, as long as we then had 10 million in the bank year 2, year 3. True? I think that's right. Apparently, Potts has been surprisingly forward-thinking at points for this year. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes. I think for me, he'll come in and be that CDM role. I still think the writings of the wall Fred to Alvarez. Probably we didn't necessarily speak about him in terms of the players I think going and who they're going to, but I think if a decent side come in and offer £30 million for him, I think he's gone. Personally, Russ, are you nervous that the club doesn't have a backup plan if Potter does have a positive season, or try and get a coach that thinks he's in line? Are you nervous that the club don't have a backup plan if does not have a positive season? Yes. Yeah. Totally. I think it is terribly short-sighted to not have a director of football in place. It spatters of potentially, we'll say potentially, but it spatters of Pellegrini and Huselos. They came in, they did it all, sing the theme tune, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. They did it all the recruitment, all the analysis, all that type of stuff. And then they leave and they take it all with them, take their ball and go. And then whoever comes in, like David Moyes, had to come in with an empty cupboard, And so that there's no continuity. We do have a sporting director, though, Mr. Mark Noble, but it doesn't seem to have that sort of job specific in what he does. It does worry me. It does worry me, and I think it's. I just think it was short sighted to get rid of Steindem, but clearly there was stuff behind the scenes which we'll probably never know about. But if we're looking to get a more of a modern approach, data-driven approach, then you have to have a modern style of football ownership in terms of football sort of hierarchy. You need a director of football. You need someone who just does football operations, who's not invested as a stakeholder as well as a shareholder, which obviously DS is. So, that's a conflict of interest, really, in my eyes. Whereas, director of football is football operations. That's what he does. He has a budget, and that's what he works with. We haven't got that now. So, yeah, it does worry me. On the ADS to being linked. Yeah, nobody's stopping anyone putting the cash up now and getting it back when we sell players. No, you're right. You are right. The only slight concern with that is about selling the players, isn't it? People aren't, apart from one or two players, aren't queuing up out the door for our players yet. If they were, I think that would give people more encouragement to then sell before you buy. So, speculate to accumulate, type thing. But until that happens, it's all hearsay. We hearsay that, we've got 3 clubs interested in Kudus. It's, we've got 4 clubs interested in Aged. Cornet looks like it's going to Genoa, but it hasn't happened yet. I think that's always a slight concern. Garino, good evening. Hope you're well, mate. What do you think Mayweather's enough to say when it comes to major? I think he does when it comes to the academy and that pathway. That's his bag. And that's what he's very good at. And I truly believe you need to have your best pawns in the right position. And I think for Nobes, that's his right position. It's that attracting, by the sounds of it, and by what we're led to believe, he was heavily involved in the Daniel Cummings, which will obviously be announced properly in the 1st of July. That was his bag, selling the dream, so to speak, the West Ham dream to Daniel. So for me, that's what he's good at. Put him in the right place. Is he a Tim Stein type? No. I don't think that's his role at the moment. That could change, but at the moment, I don't think it is. So that's what I would be playing. Wrong way round for Sully Darren. He does things asked about face. Right, scroll for what we got. Passionate owner we need. I think the trouble, Mark, is also, objectively, not gaslighting. All right, I've got to say that because I don't want to gaslighting. I'm just being objective. There isn't a queue around the door to buy into West Ham. We're not an attractive proposition at the moment. You've got to think we finished, was it 15th in the Premier League? No European football. We loan a stadium. If I was a billionaire, I was looking for, and to be honest, whoever comes in, there's no. I mean, you look at Ratcliffe at Man United, and obviously he was a fan as well as a businessman, but still he asset strips loads. He got pissed off a load of staff as well, long time staff there as well, because he needs to make a profit and he needs to make some money out of the club. And unfortunately now, 99% of owners are in it for the money. I'm not in it for the love of the club. You might have one or two, and there'll always be one or two exceptions to the rule. But in terms of, how many American-based owners have we got now in the Premier League? They're not in it because of the love of the game. They're in it because they want to make a penny out of one of the most exclusive leagues in the world. And I think if we do end up selling and we get someone else in, there'll be a consortium, a conglomerate, and they'll want to make money. They'll have shareholders. They'll be looking to make profit. They'll be doing this, doing that, so that it's going to be much and muchness. In all honesty, that's the way I see it from my own personal experience. Not gaslight, from my own personal experience. So I agree. I'd like to see someone more forward-facing person as well. That's why DG was always the front of the operation, wasn't he? He was always not the poster boy, but the guy who would come up and do the presentations and things like that. We haven't got that. We had that with Tim Steidham for a bit, sort of the face of the football operations. But it's all behind closed doors, isn't it? We don't, Carl McCauley, he's a lovely bloke, but he's not front of the camera telling everyone what we're doing. He's in the back on his computer, and I'd rather have him there than put him out in front. Anyway, Morley Hall has a rebuild as well as expected. Transfer windows will reopen tomorrow. It'll change. Anyway, we need a rebuild to match Madonna's face. Let's go through. Players are on holiday or at the NAF World Cups. A little business being done. Well, I mean, 10 goals. What about the French lad we've got coming into the squad that's already ours? Yeah, I've spoken about that. Mamadou Kante. If you're a tourist, Russ, we're attractive. International Training League, airport up the road, and less football tour. Yeah, and I know there's a big thing about football tourists at the moment. It's rifer in the Premier League. It's not just West Ham. It is Liverpool. It is Tottenham. It is Arsenal. It is Chelsea. It's Man United. I can't criticise being a football tourist because I have been a football tourist. I've been to Barcelona. We went there and we watched a game. We bought a ticket, from a bar for like €10 and went and sat and watched. I've done that. I've been to, New York Red Bulls. I've been to all these, I've done the football tourist bit. So I cannot be critical of being a football tourist or a sports tourist. I go to the basketball, the baseball, the American football, it's part of, unfortunately, it's part of modern life now. It's part of modern sport that you get people being football tourists, being sporting tourists. And it's the same as every other Premier League club. It really is, particularly a lot of the US owned ones as well. I mean, Wrexham, the racecourse ground must be absolutely teeming with tourist fans as well. So for me, that's always one thing I just detach myself from the debate about because I have been a football tourist, so I can't. That would make me a hypocrite. If you want, if we're attractive enough that a person who doesn't support us wants to come and watch us and can buy a ticket, there's nothing I can. There's no. What's the word? It'd be hypocritical of me to criticise them. But our owners haven't put a penny in. I have no idea, to be honest. I have no idea, Darren, about how that all works, to be honest. I mean, there's both sides. And I agree, it'd be great to have David Sullivan opening check, but I'd love it. Is it going to happen? We know it's not going to happen, are we? A few teams have done business. Those who are cash rich most haven't yet. But also the only ones really have done any significant business are the ones, or Liverpool, and like the likes of Chelsea and Man City, who are obviously going to be at the CWC. Russ, in terms of Potter, if he does get sacked for you personally, is that a coach that you would whether or another league? What's his name? Iralo from Bournemouth. He's rejected a new contract. He says he's going to stay with them this season. It was either him or Thomas Frank would have been someone I'd really like. But Thomas Frank has gone. Looks like Angie's going to go to Allah here. Looks like, but Ilari from Bournemouth. I think again, but that would be a new culture being brought in again. That's who I'd want personally. I think even more so than a Marco Silva or something like that. Iralo, I just think he's solid. Can't see many doing business lots yet. Yes, Costantelios, 28 million pounds, something like that. One of the Potters that got a job is moving back to England after being let go. I wonder if he's joining. He got a job. Fair play. Isn't used to living. Let's keep saying morning. I know. Burnley was signed for. Burnley needs signed for as well. It was done to grease the agent's wheels of another deal to Scarino. We'll see. Mr. Rusty B, he's back from his conveniently timed holiday. Let's hope the last. I mean. It's probably the safest time to go holiday last week rather than when the proper window opens on Monday, isn't it? So, yeah. He did the same thing last year, didn't he? If I remember correctly. Not worried the transfer window, more worried about the man closing the deal because we know who that is. I would expect that Kante will go out on loan and send him to one of the other leagues for time is my guess. Surprised Chelsea went for, well, not really because he's homegrown as well, so they need that. I'm slightly confused. If we don't get more incomings, the pressure... big time. I rate them, but they want. That's why I'm the same. I mean, to be honest, I think Freddie is ready to roll. I know the man. He's ready to roll. George, I think George is a bit different as well. He's younger. He's a bit more back, but then you've got Ollie with him as well. So they're good pals as well. So, but I agree, and that's why I think. I can see them hanging around until towards the end of the transfer window. and then assessing to see, because they've got a whole loan committee, the likes of Kenny and Mark and various others. They sit down and work out the academy and the younger players, who's going to go out and loan and stuff like that. So that's what I think will happen, but we shall see. Yeah, they have. They bought 4. Yeah, 4 players they bought. What happens to press this button? I don't know. Hit the button if you haven't done it. Thank you very much, Hammers. Football as always. Do we have money in the bank for one player? If so, I'd buy the striker. We're in 4. It gives us some hope at least. Do you know what? I mean, oh, that's nice. Look at that. It comes out the bottom. I think we do, but then that's just me. And what we've been led to believe is there's PSR, there's cash flow, there's different, there's FFP, and based on what we've sold, based on what we're going to post as a loss, based on what we've got already in the bank, but a PSR rule, I thought there was like a little bit we could do in between. That might not be the case. There's a lot more cleverer people than me. If you can believe it. No, there's a lot more cleverer people than me in terms of understanding how the finances work. The PSR chart, I think I was listening to a guy on, he's a football marketing person, and it was really interesting to see him talk about that in more detail, and how Villa are on a lot better set up than they are than West Ham would be when you take into account what they're going to be posting in the last financial year or something like that. So we'll wait and see. But we say, I'm guessing Frog, the other priorities for this side, so maybe that's why I got to Lappin trying to get Jamie Gitters in. I think also for me, it's that English quota as well. They still haven't, they probably let a few go as well. The likes of Conley, Chukwuemeka, and stuff like that. So they probably need to whack it in. Pre-season looking odds on to have the same players as last year, plus some of the academy. Yeah, I think we'll do some business before pre-season. I think we'll have to. Whether that's Josh Brown or whether it's anything with any money, who knows? Do you think the Club World Cup could affect our business finishing in? No, don't think so. With Chelsea, maybe buying Kudus. In terms of the players we're interested at Chelsea, Petrovic isn't there anyway. So from a football operations perspective, he's still there. So I don't think so. And it'll be the same as every other club as well. So it's not just us. Interesting to see how Will still gets on at Southampton. Me too. I mean, there's an example of someone who could, we know that obviously he's a West Ham fan. We know he's been relatively successful in League R. We know he's bilingual and all this type of stuff. And, I think that the Southampton gig's a really good gig for him. They're coming from obviously being relegated, yada, yada, yada. And, he could be one that's the successor to Potter. Possibly. Who knows, Top man, nice guy as well. A few million wages more important to Sullivan than starting the season well. I think also, I think that's the same with a lot of other owners. They won't buy someone until the end of the month, otherwise they're paying another $100,000 a week. $100,000 a week for some play. So you'll see towards the end of June a lot of activity, I think. Late to the party. Hello everyone, hope you're well. Freeman, nice to see you. Ben, hope you're well. Geezer, nice to see you. I thought we were 19 with PSR. That's what I mentioned. Bet money coming back. That's what we are until the next series of accounts. I think that's my understanding about this guy. He was a sports marketing guy, a really interesting guy, and he sort of showed that chart, but then he showed it he then included what we're going to be posting as a loss and what other clubs are going to be posting. So someone like Aston Villa are making a massive profit this year, because of the Champions League football, where they were quite low down in terms of PSR, sort of buffer zone, where we're going to be like 80, 75, 80, maybe up to maybe could be £100 million loss we're posting next season, apparently this financial season, because of the lack of football in obviously Europe and stuff like that. Played a massive toll in that. So for me, that's sort of the, yes, we are safe within that at the moment, but we know full well that we're going to be posting a loss with the finances. So that takes into account the PSR. That's what I believe. But again, there's a lot more cleverer people than me. We are safe this season. It's next season where it will bite. Russ, if the signings that we do get are the right ones, would you be hopeful that we could have a good season? Of course, Randy. I think there's, we're not shit. Despite the fact we had a crap season, if you look on paper, we haven't got a shit squad. We've got some really good players, some really talented players, some really creative players. I just need to put in the right position and the right people around them, and with the right positive attitude. I think we would have a decent season, but it will need some good signings to come in and bring the fans along with them. I think if we come to the beginning of the season, we've signed Josh Brown, who on loan, on a free transfer, and someone on loan, then the fans are going to be a bit, oh. But if we had an exciting summer, we brought in some good signings, some shrewd signings as well, some good squad players, then the fan base will go along with them. But then obviously it's based on, I think we'll have is it next week? The fixture list come out the week after. That will have a huge impact. If we've got our first 5 games of playing like Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, then it would be good to see the youngsters in the first team during pre-season. No rush to get signings for its sake as long as they're the right place. I agree. Did anyone pick up the story about having to pay? Mate, I did this 2 months ago, and people go, "Oh, it's bollocks." Oh, what you're saying, bollocks. Told you. It could fuck up our seat. It could really fuck it up. That's another 10 million quid. And I said that 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, I reckon. Charge the window and decide what season we have. Totally agree. Evening is close. Is anyone close to being sold? Also, what's happening with DG shares? Will they be sold? No and no. I don't think I think we are not close to being sold, but I think the closest one is probably Cornet, to be honest, by the sounds of it. In terms of DG's shares, as I was saying, no one's bought them. No one. Yes, they've been on probate for a period of time, but they were offered pre-probate as well. And Krasinski, Sullivan, they haven't bought them either. And actually, they would have got a better deal because they would have got the agreed deal. The 3 of them agreed a deal when Krasinski came in terms of how much it would cost. They had one flat fee for each other's shares. So that would have been what Gold's shares would have been worth to Krasinski and Sullivan. But no. As I said the other day, we had Woody Johnson from New York Jets, who apparently is a bit of a shit owner, according to our US friends. But he was heavily linked with a move for them. But it looks like he's going to go to Crystal Palace as well now for the shares. So, no. And that's what I'm saying. It takes 2 to transfer. It takes 2 to buy a club. It takes someone to sell the shares, which shares are there to be sold. And it takes someone to buy them. They're not running out the door. We haven't got them queuing up the door to buy the shares. If all the cheap punts from if all the cheap players and punts from Div 2 come off, yep, they could do. I thought we're really in trouble. That's what I mean, Dan, but they're not. They're not, because their turnover this year is this financial. What's going to be with their finances is they've made a huge profit. So actually, they're more likely, where it's 97, actually, but I think the guys said like 54% of their turnover, so they're far more in it than what the chart said. Charts can be deceiving sometimes. Kante signing smacks a bit of Irvin. Yes, but apparently the club don't have to pay it yet, but if they don't pay it in 45 days, and CS will impose a 3-month. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is he off to Celtic? Possibly. Maybe just invest in Rockets to put up the arses of what we have already. Sounds good. Who's this corner you speak of? Indeed, I know. Would you buy the gold knowing you have to deal with Sully? Well, I think for me, I can see a clear path. I can understand why no one would want to buy these shares because they're a minority stake. Why would you want to buy a minority stake in a side that's making a potentially £100 million loss this year? Would you want 25% of that? Fuck no. If you were 25%, if you were Aston Villa and you offered the shares 25%, and you're going to post a £100 million profit, they'd fucking bite your hands off for them. And that's the problem. They've either got to be so dirt cheap that you're going to get some chancer buy them, and then try and work deals with maybe Kudrinski, maybe Trip Smith to then become the main shareholder. But then that seems a lot of arson about, and there's not really much profit to be had in it at the moment. I think if we end up halfway through the season, if we're fifth in the league, then I think you'll see a few more people turn up personally, but I can't see it happening. Let's still put a tenner in, should get about 10% share each. I think Leeds and Burnley won't be as bad as Leicester and Ipswich, so it could be really tight this season, I agree. Thoughts on the Gambian under 21. We're going to talk about him tomorrow. Does Agard really want to leave, or is it just media? I think he wants to leave. I think he wants Champions League football. And I think I've got no problem if players want to leave. I have no problem. I actually respect the fact they say, do you know what? I want to play at high level football, or want more money, or fair enough. I don't want ones who are just going to be sort of sit there and pick up a wage and, and I'd rather Gerd say, look, I want to move. Okay, we get the money for you. We'll get 25 million for you. All the best. Good luck to your son. Don't want you sitting there and just going all, I was about to say going all AWOL. That's what Trod just said. There we go. Same with Cornet. Same with Caduce. Don't want to be it. All right, mate. No props. I know you might be our best player, shooting ourselves in the foot, but I'd rather have the money in the bank potentially than have someone who's going to have a detrimental effect on the side and the squad and the fan base as well. You don't want to boo. If a player doesn't want to be here, it's not going to help you out at all, is it? It's not going to help us out at all. Yes, he's a great player. Didn't have a great season last year. Who did at the club? Probably about 2 people had a half-decent season last year. But I agree. I think best advice is to get rid of Agard and need to rebuild this. It's a shame because I think he would have really done well. A different style of defending. Different style of just playing with the ball. Not so much back to the wall type stuff. I think we've done really well on that left-hand side. But anywho, right, I'm going to shoot. I'm going to go and watch the second half of the Grand Prix. We will have Rusty Rumour Rating, the original Rumour Rating. That'll be on later on. That'll be tomorrow at lunchtime. And until next time, have a great rest of the evening or a great rest of the day if you're Alan, who's just started his day watching the golf. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, stay safe. Apparently, this is the West Ham Safety Network, or where it is. Good night, my foes. And tomorrow we'll launch our new raffle, which is for a Mark Noble signed shirt, which is a nice signed shirt. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay up, keep the faith. Come on, you fucking irons. Much love, motherfuckers. Much love, mofos.